What was that?
It was a thing.
I haven't seen anything like that since my last acid trip, man.
How long ago was that?
Way too long. Way too long. It's about the same time I saw that purple dinosaur.
Ah, Barney?
At Woodstock. Anyways, all of you people out there, welcome to Soundcheck. This is Terry Difazio, bronze medal winner in the Terry Difazio Lookalike Contest, again, and my partner in crime, and we have committed some pretty good ones, and we're going to commit more today. The incredible Todd Pronto.
Gold medal winner in the Shaun White Lookalike Contest.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I don't look anything like Shaun White, though.
No. At least you didn't win the gold medal in the Ian Kilmister Lookalike Contest.
I know. Yes, he was...
Yeah, 10 miles of bad road.
That's why he changed his name.
Yeah. Anyways, we have a heck of a show for you, but we're not going to present it. We're going to leave now.
Yeah, we're going to do a entirely different show. We have a great one, but we're not going to do that one.
No, we're going to do a mediocre one. We're going to talk about a lot of different subjects today. And I don't know where to start. We've got so many things we can talk about. We've got a whole bunch of things. That we might as well start off with the engineering question.
Okay.
And I've been asked several times over my career, and probably Todd has too, is how do you become a recording engineer or an audio or video engineer? And essentially, there are two routes to go that I could find. I found that you can either go to college for it, and that's really good since when I was growing up, there wasn't any.
There wasn't?
There wasn't any. There weren't any. I'm sorry, there wasn't. There weren't any colleges where you could go to learn recording engineering. That just didn't happen.
Oh, interesting.
And even today, if you do go to a college that gives courses in that, and by the way, Linden College has one.
They do.
Linden State, which is, I've seen their studio. It's really, really good. They do a great job.
Yeah.
The guy that teaches a class has done gold records for Weird Al Yankovic and several other people.
Really?
Pretty cool, yeah. But even if you get a degree in that from like Linden State or any other college, I think Lucian got one in video production from Ithaca College, and that doesn't guarantee you're going to get a job in the field. It wouldn't hurt. I would definitely I always recommend education anyway. The other way is to just get hands-on experience, have a recording studio of your own, or work at somebody else's, and learn it hands-on.
Yeah, a lot of times, even if you have a degree, an apprenticeship is like the next step. You might be working for free even with your degree, but it's always good. That's what I did in radio. I actually never got any sort of. I mean, I got my FCC license, but because you had to. Now you don't have to. By the way, you don't need now. See, it used to be that every person that was on the air had to have an FCC license. Now everybody that works for the station's covered under the station's FCC license. But I got one anyway just because I could.
That's probably better than the license I had. I had a dog license.
Yeah, that might grant you more responsibilities. It might. But I actually worked at the radio station, an apprentice for free for a good long time before they hired me.
Is that right?
And I worked my way into it. I picked it up really fast, though, because, like what you were mentioning, I'd been around recording studios forever. So radio's a little bit different than recording studios, but not much.
I've noticed that the way they set them up is extremely similar. They have a glass window so you can see out.
Yep.
If you happen to be looking into other rooms, I think that's a very good idea.
I always thought that was just so people could mess with you while you were on the air, because that's usually what happens.
Oh, I remember when you were on the radio, and I never stood outside and made faces or anything.
You didn't, no. The salespeople did quite often, though.
Yeah.
They would make faces at you or write notes or moon you while you were trying to read the news and be serious.
Yes, and you couldn't flip them off because that would come over the radio, right?
I know, yeah. The FCC would be after you.
So even hand gestures, the radio would pick them up.
It's funny because I used to have people ask me all the time. They say, I swear all the time, I could never do the radio. And I said, no, you know when you're on the air. It's like an instinct. You just don't swear. I don't know what it is.
Yep, I know.
I mean, I think I did it once, but I didn't know I was on the air.
Oh.
when you know you're on the air, it's I don't know. And by the way, I've been this is a little off topic, but watching the Olympics, and they're broadcasting live, and was it Red Gerard was a 17-year-old kid from America who got a gold medal in the snowboarding freestyle, and they zoomed in on him when he found out that he got the medal, and he was talking to his friend or whatever, and he was swearing and he was happy, but he was saying like how blank and cool is this and blah blah blah. So when they cut back, NBC had to say, well, we apologize for the language, however it is live over in North Korea right now or South Korea. Wherever the heck it is.
North and South Korea, that's just the other side of Island Pond.
Yeah, it's pretty far away. It's over in Pyeongchang.
Yeah, well, however you pronounce that, yeah.
I keep thinking it says P.F. Chang's, but that's a restaurant. Yeah. But anyway, their delays didn't even help them out because they didn't know that the 17-year-old snowboarding sensation was going to drop the F-bomb during his acceptance.
Hey. Was he the guy that got in trouble for wrapping his snowboard in a flag or something and dragging it on the ground?
No, I think was that last night. I think Shaun White. Maybe it was him. I don't remember.
Personally, I mean, you're excited. Why?
It's snow.
It's almost dirty. It's almost like we want all these heroes, sports heroes, and then we are so quick to tear them down.
When we find out that they're just normal human beings.
Yeah, and they have to get up in the morning and go to sleep and have breakfast and all that stuff. It's like. These are not gods. No. Don't worship them. Appreciate what they do, and let them live their normal lives or semi-normal or whatever they do.
Yeah, I don't know if it was him. I did see last night. Of course, this is being taped a week prior to, so I did see about a week ago when Shaun White won the gold. He didn't wrap the flag around his snowboard, but he was dragging it on the ground, and I thought, oh, somebody's going to be upset with that, but I don't know if that's the one. I don't know if that's the one that we're talking about. But yeah, any sense the FCC didn't penalize him for that, and I don't think they ended up penalizing the young kid for swearing. But sometimes live TV is live TV, and you get caught up in the moment. Sometimes you're not. You can't be held responsible for everything you do.
What I don't understand is they get somebody that's in a specific whatever the event is.
Yeah.
Say for example, they just did the 880. Okay. Yeah. You have these guys speeding around a track, and they're running full blast. And within 5 seconds of them stopping, they got a microphone in their face, asking them questions, and the person can't even catch their breath. I mean, that's really, really smart.
That's not very nice.
I think that is incredibly smart, guys. I mean, boy, I'm telling you. I know that if I ran a race like that and I had a microphone in front of my safe, I'd say, come back in a minute.
Yeah.
Go away.
Give me a second.
Come back in a minute here. Let me catch my breath.
Let me at least have a beer.
How do you feel right now? I can't even freaking breathe. How do you think I feel? Of course, it's a good thing they don't ask the loser because they.
Yeah.
What's it to you, sucker?
I don't know. The winter sports, maybe they're frozen too.
I know that ought to be good.
Well, that was a little off topic.
Who cares? We're a little bit off today, anyway.
But yeah, apprenticing is, I think, is a big help because hands-on to me, a combination of the two is probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, the way technology is now, it's always good to stay ahead of the game.
It'll surpass you pretty quick. It never
Pro Tools
changes.
is up to 12 now, is it?
12, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the programs that we use here at the station, Adobe Audition, to do audio remastering. You can't even buy the CD-ROMs anymore. You have to rent them.
Oh, yeah.
You have to rent it off the cloud.
It's on the cloud now.
So
and it's not even called Audition anymore. It's like CS6 or something.
We have CS5.
Yeah, I think it's CS6 now. Same thing. It used to be called Cool Edit Pro.
That was a long time
before Adobe bought it, yeah.
Personally, I saw Cool Edit Pro, and I like Adobe better.
It's much better.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to the radio station, you know what they were... So when I went there, this is what they were editing on, and it quickly progressed. So prior to that, I'd spent time in recording studios, so I was already familiar with DAWs and multi-tracking.
Yep.
And they had this board in front of you.
Yeah.
And you say you had a 30-second ad. What you would do is you would put the CD in the CD player, and you would have your ad copy, and you would read it, and you would play the music as you did. You live mixed everything like you were actually doing a live commercial.
Right.
And if you didn't get it in 30 seconds, you had to keep doing it till you did. The only editing you really could do was it was recorded into a 2-track editor called Fast Eddie.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. And if you were maybe 30.26 seconds, you could time compress it up to 30 seconds and you wouldn't sound too much like a chipmunk. But it was so limited as to what you could do. Yeah. And the only thing they were using it for was maybe to cut breaths out at the end and the beginning. And then, but me coming from the background that I did, and having done a thing called bouncing tracks before, I would record all sorts of stuff into Fast Eddie and then play it back through and add stuff live and record that and then put it back into Fast Eddie. So I was like coming up with these really huge sounds for the radio station, and then they bought me Cool Edit Pro. Mm-hmm. And then I was off to the races. But yeah, Fast Eddie was a 2-track editor. And it was not very good.
Well, I remember, I'm going back to the early 1980s at a radio station in the town where I grew up, Springfield, Vermont. And all their commercials were done on cartridges.
Carts, yeah.
It was like an 8-track cartridge.
Yeah.
And you did it live and you got it right, or that was it. And there was music playing in the background. Uh-huh. And that was about it. And they had a whole rack of these things, 10, 20 of them.
There's something fun about that element, though, like that I think is lost on people today. And I'd still, if somebody gave me a really boring grocery store commercial, I wouldn't sit there and try to edit it. I'd just open up the mic and play the music underneath me and talk. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that hard to do, but
no.
But yeah, Fast Eddie. Boy, I'm going to Google that and see if I can find anything.
We should get that here.
I tell you what, I'd have much better luck editing on this. These weren't around yet, but I certainly could do a better job on my iPhone.
I'm glad you brought up that program, because that segues into the next part of the program. Fast Eddie Clark.
See? I wonder if it was named after him.
Could be. He was pretty old.
No, I think it was a play on Fast Edit.
Probably.
And it was not. It should have been called Mediocre to Slow Eddie.
Slowpoke Eddie.
Slowpoke Eddie. It was just a one-track editor. You could only edit in mono.
Yeah, I remember when radio was in mono, and even records were in mono for a long time. It wasn't until the 60s that stereo came out.
Yeah, most AM is still in.
Yeah,
I read that. We'll get back to the other subject, but I remember working at WIKE, and they 1490 WIKE stereo. You had to say stereo because WIKE had a stereo signal, and it really did. Mm-hmm. However, you need a AM stereo receiver to be able to actually listen to AM stereo. So I believe the only person that's ever heard WIKE in stereo is me. Because, no, maybe not just me, but anybody that worked at WIKE, because I'm pretty sure the only stereo AM receiver was at WIKE.
Oh, okay. Well,
maybe not, but do you remember AM stereo receivers?
I don't.
I think it's how they tried to compete with FM when FM first came out. And they went, we could go stereo too, but AM, it doesn't matter what you do to AM. It always sounds like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, AM does not have the fidelity, does it?
No, I used to joke that on April Fools I was going to do nothing but drums and bass on WIKE. It would sound like crap.
Which is we're going to get back to Fast Eddie Clark in a minute.
Yeah.
But you remember what I told you? I was watching the Beatles special, and they had to play Shea Stadium.
Yeah, I finally watched that, so I've seen it too.
Yeah, and
crazy.
They said they made them specially beefed up, stronger amps, 100 watts, and they had to sing through the amplifiers that their guitars went through. And they put, I guess, a few microphones on it and put it through the Shea Stadium PA system. And the guy didn't remember what the guy said. He said it sounded like 1,000 transistor radios.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that was like.
Well, that was 1968, and the Beatles said that they would never play live again because the fans were so darn noisy. But I remember, I think it was 2 years later, or maybe 3 years later. I think it was 2 years later. Grand Funk Railroad played Shea Stadium. Boy, did they have a big sound system.
They knew what they were doing.
Huge. Yeah. Things that Beatles experience probably helped catapult Pro Sound into what it was eventually to become, because it had to go that way.
Yeah, Paul and Ringo have really, because George passed away and John obviously passed away, and they got to see some advancements in sound. But if you think Paul and Ringo have actually, they're still going today. Mm-hmm. So they've seen sound go from playing in an amplifier that I essentially have in my house to play Shea Stadium with, to a guy that can control the lights and the sound from his iPad in the audience. They've seen quite the gamut. It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah. It's quite amazing. I remember Jay Peak last year. The sound engineer was having some trouble, and he had a I don't know if it was an iPad screen, but he had a screen, and he was doing his mixing on this. Yeah. On this some sort of a screen.
It probably was.
Personally, I would not be able to do that. I have to have the faders. I'd have to be able to touch them, or have the iPad control the faders. This guy didn't even have a regular mixing console. It was just a screen.
Yeah.
And he said he couldn't get the mix right, and I said, I'm not surprised.
It's hard. Physically having the fader makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. You can do it with an iPad,
but you can't get the subtle nuances that you need, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, he tried and tried and tried, but he couldn't. The band did sound a bit muddy. I don't even know who the band was, but he did his best. Yeah, it was at Jay last year. So, and the system they were using was monstrous speakers. Yeah, subwoofers were really incredible. So they had the equipment. But I'm glad to see that happened, because I remember in the old days of the Ed Sullivan Show, the PA system was one speaker halfway up the wall in the hall. That was it. And of course, if you ever saw the Beatles or the Dave Clark Five or the Rolling Stones or any of those bands on Ed Sullivan, the girls screamed so loud you couldn't hear the band anyway.
Yeah.
They took care of that. You get a 40,000 watt PA system.
Can't scream over that.
No. You can try, but it isn't going to work. Fast Eddie Clark.
Yes.
Fast Eddie Clark was the last member of the band Motorhead to pass away. And he passed away in January at the age of 67, which is only a year older than me. So
that's right.
I've got about a year to go.
About a year to go.
That's it.
Well, Motorhead, he was a senior citizen for that band.
Well, actually, Lemmy made it to 70.
Did he?
Yeah, Lemmy made it to 70, but he passed away, what was it, 2016? Yeah, 2016, right around the same time as Phil Taylor. Phil Taylor passed away. He was 61.
Wow.
So Phil died.
I can't believe Lemmy was 70.
Yeah.
I thought he was in his 50s. He looked like he was in his hundreds.
Yeah, he looked like he was at least 90,
Yeah.
Especially towards the end. He had a really bad bout with cancer.
Yeah.
But Fast Eddie Clark, I can't remember exactly what band he came from, but...
the Dave Clark Five.
Yeah, right.
It used to be called the Eddie Clark Five.
That would have been better. I like the Dave Clark Five, and in their day they were good, but that was, that was in the days of the Beatles, and that was a whole different thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So Fast Eddie passed away. He joined the band. He quickly went from being a teetotaler to an alcoholic. And then after a few years of that, he left the band, and he got clean and sober. And I was actually quite surprised. I guess they said he died of pneumonia. So
That's too bad.
it wasn't like drugs or alcohol killed him or something like that, because he quit years ago. Kind of like what happened to Gary Moore. Gary Moore died at the age of 59 of a heart attack. That he was not a drinker or a drugger.
Huh.
That anybody knew. If he was, nobody really talked about it much or said much. And usually, if you're in that sort of circle, everybody knows about it.
Oh yeah.
And it was no secret that Lemmy and Phil drank to excess.
No.
It was no secret that bands like Motley Crue or Poison essentially deluge themselves in every substance that you've ever heard of, and some you haven't heard of. So there's no secret. If you're doing that sort of stuff, people know.
Yep. Unless you're Elvis.
Yeah.
He kept that hidden pretty well.
I always wondered. I didn't know exactly what was going on with him, but I knew something was wrong because his appearance kept changing.
Oh yeah, he was definitely a drug addict.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't want you to know that.
Oh no.
And he didn't like drug addicts.
No,
but his were prescription drugs, so it was all right.
Yeah, and you know what? You've probably heard this, but when the Beatles went to visit him at Graceland, the Beatles loved him.
Yeah.
The Beatles thought he was the best thing in the world, and he hated them.
Yeah.
He says, I don't know about that boy there, but that he's on something or other. He's higher than a kite. And,
Well, yeah, his name's John Lennon.
Yeah.
Come on. He was born stoned. Yeah, I guess it was a really awkward meeting when they went to meet him.
Yeah, and the Beatles were very cordial towards him, and he didn't like them.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well.
Yeah, my drugs are better than your drugs.
Yeah. Well, didn't Elvis ask Nixon to be part of the, not the CIA, but the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency?
I haven't heard that one. I'd have to look that one up.
He did. So he met with Nixon. He wanted to help. Like, keep the nation's youth off of drugs, which is an admirable thing to do, except for when you're totally in denial that all those prescription drugs that your doctors are writing, so you can wake up and so you can go to sleep and so you can get enough energy to perform. That's called doing drugs.
Yeah. And to give credit where credit's due, even Johnny Cash figured that out after a while.
Yeah, he had to. It took him a few times.
Yeah, he was on speed, I believe, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Or meth or whatever it was.
Yeah, barbiturates and speed and alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, barbiturates are central nervous system depressants, and nobody uses those anymore because they're rather dirty. Now, if you're going to abuse that sort of thing, you use benzodiazepines.
Right.
They're a lot cleaner. They don't mess up your system as bad, but they will.
Bad. I think when he got caught in Mexico, though, his guitar was stuffed with a bag full of speed.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he. I remember him saying he was addicted to pep pills, and back then, I don't know if crystal meth wasn't around back then yet.
I don't think
hadn't really come around yet.
I think my favorite is though, like he had a prescription for him in the States, but he bought him in Mexico. Mm-hmm. So when he was arrested, obviously it caused a fight with his wife, and she's like, you have drugs in your guitar case. He said I had a prescription for him, though, not to smuggle them across line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games till someone gets arrested.
Yeah. Well, since we're started on Motorhead, for anybody out there that doesn't know who Motorhead was, they were an English rock band formed in 1975 by bassist, singer-songwriter. I didn't know he was a singer-songwriter. Just like you.
Just like me.
Ian Kilmister. And his nickname was Lemmy because every time he went on tour, he'd say Lemmy a 5 or Lemmy a 10 or Lemmy a 20. And he was a sole constant. He was not... he was he started the whole thing. He came out of a band called Hawkwind. They were sort of They were sort of a spaced-out psychedelic type of band. They were actually progressive. They were pretty good. He started at Motorhead with Larry Wallace and a drummer named Lucas Fox. But by the time they actually got any traction and got somewhat popular, they changed everything. They changed the guitar player to Fast Eddie Clark, and the drummer, Phil Taylor, whose nickname was Filthy Animal.
Yep.
His girlfriend named him that because she said that's the way he made love. Like a filthy animal. She nicknamed him Filthy Animal.
So what?
They recorded 22 studio albums, 10 live recordings. Their big break was in 1980 with the album Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
And in 1981, they got an even bigger break when they hit the States opening for Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy's the one that got them over here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Somehow they were all friends.
That'd be a hell of a concert.
Yeah. You'd go out, you'd leave talking to yourself.
Yeah.
And you'd probably get some answers.
So they're all well, they're British, so they're all friends.
Well, most of them, yeah.
Ozzy was British, right?
Yeah, that's right. When he's on Earth.
Yeah. You can't tell from that accent, but that's a British accent.
They were typically Motorhead was typically classified as heavy metal, but there's an interesting twist on it. They sort of fused their sound with punk.
Yeah.
And even threw in a bit of speed metal, what was later to become speed metal. For example, as I think it was, I don't know if it was Fast Eddie or Lemmy said, they would play these punk concerts in London or somewhere in England,
Yeah.
and there'd be 10 bands, and they'd be like the fifth band.
Yeah.
And she said there were all these teenagers playing punk with safety pins in their cheeks and, pink hair or purple hair or mohawks. He says, and then we'd come out. There's two old men and Phil. Because they were in their mid-20s, and that was considered old.
All right.
Phil was the only younger guy. So, but for some reason, the punks loved them.
Yeah.
So they would come out and they would be playing this typical sound that they had. And most of the bands that you see around that are still around today, and all these bands have said this, Anthrax, Megadeth, Metallica, Slayer, even Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails said if it weren't for Motorhead, we wouldn't exist. This type of music would not exist if it hadn't been for Motorhead. And the big misconception when people hear the name Motorhead, they think of motorcycle riders, but that's not what it means.
Right.
It means speed freak. And if you ever knew Ian Kilmister, you'd know why that was the case. Because I don't know why. I suppose he came down every once in a while to Earth.
I don't know.
Their lyrics. I read this. This was funny, and it's true because if you listen to their music, you'll see this. Their lyrics typically covered such topics as war, good versus evil, abuse of power, promiscuous sex, substance abuse, and most famously, gambling.
Perfect. All the wholesome activities.
Exactly. Lemmy was dismissed from Hawkwind in May of 1975 after being arrested in Canada for drug possession. Now, that was surprising. And he said the band dismissed him for doing the wrong drugs.
Yeah, there you go.
Although I will say this, Lemmy, whatever drugs he did and however much alcohol he drank, he was always against cocaine and heroin. He said that those were two drugs he would not go near.
That's interesting.
Yeah. He also made a statement. He said he wanted his music to be, for anybody out there that knows this band. I know this band because I remember I was in senior in high school when they came out. You might remember the MC5, the Motor City 5. They weren't very good. They tried to be the archetypical rock band, and they weren't very good. Their one album was horrible. But that's sort of what Lemmy wanted to emulate. And he also said that if Motorhead was so loud that if they moved in next door to you, your lawn would die. I think they probably wouldn't leave a note either. They also became supporting act to Blue Oyster Cult.
Really?
On many occasions back in '75.
Interesting.
They originally thought that they needed two guitarists, but the original guitar player he tried. Get this: the original guitar player, Larry Wallace, decided he was going to continue touring with a different band, and he reformed his band called Pink Fairies.
Pink Fairies?
Yes. That's not very metal.
Are they good?
I don't know. I never heard them. And with a name like that, I don't want to.
Pink Floyd was taken, so they're like, I guess we'll just be Pink Fairies.
Could be.
What a bad decision.
Yes. we covered on this show a long time ago some people that made some very bad decisions, but that I didn't know about that one. That one was real bad.
Pink Fairies.
I remember.
I'm going to look that band up. That sounds fantastic.
Do you remember when we were talking about dumb decisions by rock singers?
Mm-hmm.
Terry Reid passed up Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple both.
Yep.
Yeah, well.
Bad news.
Yeah, and then Motorhead, they decided to give something back to the community, and they started promoting a girl band that was considered one of the heaviest bands called Girl School, and they were pretty good. They were not bad at all. I think I made one called, they did a cover on MTV's Headbangers Ball when MTV used to actually play music. Now they don't. They did a song called 20th Century Boy, which I believe was a cover of T-Rex.
Yep.
They did a good job. I like the Girl School version better. So along they went with Ozzy in 1981, and as guests of that back then they call it the Blizzard of Oz tour.
Yeah, I have that album on vinyl.
Yep.
The Blizzard of
Oz.
Oz.
Yeah, I used to have the European one. They had a different cover.
I don't think I have that one.
Yeah, the front or back cover was different. I don't have it anymore, but it was different. Eddie Clark left in 1982. He had some issues with the band. For example, Motorhead decided to play a Tammy Wynette cover, "Stand By Your Man," and
what?
That didn't go over well. And in collaboration with Wendy O. Williams of the Plasmatics.
I'm familiar with this.
If you want to see something really strange, check out the Plasmatics.
Yeah, they are very bizarre. She is very bizarre.
Well, she was.
Is she did she pass away too?
She committed suicide.
Oh, really?
Interesting story about Wendy O. Williams. She was what you'd call an acid queen.
Yeah.
And one time she was out, and she stopped doing drugs. She got into physical fitness.
Yeah.
And she became like a real hard body. I mean, this woman really worked out. So there she is out in her Nikes and some shorts and a tank top, and she's out running, staying in shape. And this paparazzi started chasing her down and getting pictures, and she yelled at him. She yelled some really nasty curse words at him.
Yeah.
And when the guy wouldn't leave, she beat the crap out of him.
Really?
Yeah, she got arrested for assault, but it's funny. She got her act all cleaned up, and she got rid of her blonde mohawk and her rhino horn on her head. She got rid of that, and she was on MTV Headbangers Ball for a while. And the next thing you know, she committed suicide.
Huh?
Nobody
Wasn't
knows
aware.
why. So in 1982, and they also did another one called Jailbait, and Eddie Clark didn't want anything to do with that, so he left, and he was replaced by Brian Robertson of Thin Lizzy, and that was a very, very different blend. It didn't go over well.
No,
it didn't. It was good music, but it
wasn't what the fans wanted.
If you saw Phil Taylor on stage with Lemmy, and you saw Brian Robertson with his hippie headband and his short shorts and a tennis shirt, you'd say, what in hell is this? The look was really quite odd. So
so he didn't last long.
He didn't want to be in it anyway. He was in it for one album, and then he split. And Phil Taylor went off with him, and they replaced him with a guy named, what was his name? Wurtzel. I don't know what his real name is, though. And another guy named Wizzo, and they eventually became a four-piece band, and they toured and they toured and they toured, and they remained popular for quite a while.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first albums, other than Ace of Spades, I remember the No Sleep Till Hammersmith. That was a pretty good album. I like that. I like that one.
Not No Sleep Till Brooklyn. That was the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, they probably got the idea from Motorhead, more than likely.
They probably did.
You know,
I like that song.
and they went through various lineup changes, and you'll catch Motorhead here and there on Access TV every once in a while. And if you YouTube it, you can find they made a movie about Lemmy.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. He tells a really off-color joke at the end. I'll tell Todd later off the air. But it's actually a very funny joke. It's a bit long, but it's as funny as all heck. But
it's not good for the air, I take it.
I can't because it's just inappropriate.
All right. Well, we don't want to offend our viewers.
No, we don't want to get in trouble with the FDIC.
Yeah. Darn FDIC.
Yeah, it says here, I did a bunch of research on Motorhead to make sure I get my facts straight. He passed away in December of 2015, 4 days after celebrating his 70th birthday. And this was 1 month after Phil Taylor died. I remember that when Phil Taylor died, I read about that, and I called Moo on a Friday because you can call in requests.
Yeah.
And I told a person up there that I will not name because I don't want to get him in trouble, but he's a really cool dude. And he said, "What would you like to hear?" And they didn't have any Nightwish. I've never heard them. Who are they?
I'm not sure. We should do a show about them sometime.
So anyways, I said, "Have you got any Motorhead?" And the guy played Motorhead.
Nice.
On Moo.
Wow.
In honor of Phil Taylor's passing. And I didn't...
Boy, that must have been a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I know. I called the guy back later, and he says, if I could wipe the smirk off my face, I'd do it, but I can't.
There is something great about playing a song on the radio that you're not... I don't know if you're not supposed to. I'm assuming you're not supposed to play Motorhead when you work at Moo 92.
Yeah, it was kind of like... I remember I did an interview back in 1986 on WCFR, Springfield, Vermont.
Yeah.
One of the most homogenized stations ever.
Never heard it, but
very, very homogenized, kind of like what you've got now.
Yeah.
And they played one of the songs from one of my second album, Iconoclast. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard rockin' tune. And the guy, when he turned the mic off, he goes, "That kind of music hasn't been played here in many, many, many years." So...
it's fun.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started working at the radio station, there was a thing where, because I used to play classic hits, classic rock, Moo did. Somebody complained about the song Cocaine by Eric Clapton. And so Cocaine was banned from the playlist. You could not play Cocaine because I don't know the whole story. It was something Tom Steele.
Oh, yeah, I remember Tom.
Yeah, it was back then. Somebody complained to Tom, I think, multiple times, and he just decided, all right, we'll ban it. Nobody can play Cocaine on the radio station. So my third day there, I went, and every light just went, and I didn't answer the phone until the song was done. And then I answered it and got yelled at. And I said, "I'm sorry." I just had to do it. It's not that bad of a song.
I can't remember. Did Eric Clapton write that, or did J.J. Cale?
J.J. Cale wrote it.
Yes, right. Yeah, he did the original.
Yeah, but they had the Clapton version. I played it 3 or 4 times too. They should have known what they were getting into very early in Moo 92 days when they hired me. Mm-hmm. When one of the first things I did when I had my own show was play the band song. And it just got worse from there.
The what song?
The band song.
Oh.
The Taboo.
You
can't play this song. All right, I'll play it.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, I know it would... Todd and I have talked for many years about starting our own radio station and calling it WLSD.
Yep. It's just too expensive to start.
Yeah. Wrong headspace, I think.
Yeah. It's very expensive to start a radio station, and nobody listens to radio anymore.
No, you've got better options now. You know? Yeah, anyways, after Ian Kilmister died, Fast Eddie Clark was still alive, but I guess it was Mickey D. That's his name? Yeah, Mickey D, the drummer for Motorhead, said, "We're not going to pursue this. This is, we're going to call it quits.
Yeah.
Motorhead, we won't." you won't be trying to sell people the second generation, third generation, whatever. Because
like Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, or many others. So.
Yeah, Leonard Skinner bothers me though.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, I went to see Leonard Skinner play. Oh yeah, you mean the one surviving member? That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a funny one I happened to stumble upon too. Triple H, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Anybody know his real name?
Preparation.
No, not quite. Preparation. Yeah, right. Real pain in the butt.
I have heard it before, but I can't think of it.
Paul Levesque
Yes,
from Nashua, New Hampshire, who changed his name to Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And he was wrestling as a tag team with they were called the Blue Bloods or something like that. And anyways, Triple H, when he came out, he wanted a specific sound, and he went to Lemmy, and Lemmy wrote him 2 songs that he does as his entrance themes.
Oh yeah,
yeah. One's called "Time to Play the Game," and the other one is "The King of Kings." So
that's cool.
Yep. So poor old Fast Eddie passed away on January 10th, 2018. He was 61, and that's that was quite a history for that band. They did it all. They did it to excess, and a lot of your bands that are of that same genre now wouldn't be here if it weren't for them.
Yeah. You always have to have a trailblazer. Yeah,
and as everybody knows, you have to. Music in any genre has to progress. It has to morph and progress, or it dies.
Yep.
And for example, disco died, thankfully, but it did morph. If you want that style of music, you can listen to techno or a club dance.
Oh yeah, it's still alive and well.
At least it's not as tacky.
No, something about those falsetto voices and
yeah.
I just can't get behind the Bee Gees.
And spandex pants.
Well, yeah. I mean, David Lee Roth did that.
Yeah, but he was, I know. He could get away with it.
He could. Well, I don't know if he still can.
I'm not sure. I heard he does stay in shape, but.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
I think he's got a black belt or something like that.
Does
also.
he?
Yeah, but still got a knee go about like this.
Well, yeah. Got to.
Mm-hmm.
Got to if you're going to be David Lee Roth.
That's right. Yep, and if you're going to get fired by your own band, then get rehired by them.
And then fired again?
I think, I know the last I heard, he and Eddie Van Halen were not getting along. But then again, I can tell you this. Eddie doesn't get along with anybody except his brother and his son. How could you lose Valerie Bertinelli? How could you miss that opportunity with a woman like this just because you want to drink and drink and drink and drink? And that's what killed it.
That's too bad.
Because he was sober for many years.
Was he really?
She was the reason. She said, "If you do this, I can't stay with you." And he said, "Oh, I'm gonna, I love this woman, and I don't want to lose all of this." And he went and he did it anyway.
Huh? I didn't realize he'd gotten sober for a period.
Yeah, for a while he did.
Now he is too, right? Or who knows?
I don't even know. All I know is he had this big homecoming, and everybody was a happy family when he had Sammy Hagar. If you ever saw, that concert they did in 1986, which was a really good concert. I can't remember the name of it. But they were as happy as all heck, and they were, they toured together 6, 7, 8 years, and all of a sudden, he and Sammy Hagar almost get in a fist fight. So they called back in David Lee Roth, and now he's saying, "Yeah, we want to rock out," and David wants to write dance tunes, and then he's saying that his former bass player Michael Anthony, I had to write all the parts for him, and I had to show him how to play, and he's bad-mouthing everybody,
Wow.
But when Michael Anthony was asked, as you remember, Michael Anthony and Chad Johnson and Joe Satriani formed Chickenfoot with Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
They asked Michael Anthony point blank, who was a better guitar player, Eddie Van Halen or Joe Satriani? To me, that's a no-brainer. However, he said that they were equal. He took the high road and he said, they're both excellent, and I'm not going to say who I think is better because they're both excellent. And he left it that way. However, Eddie Van Halen was trashing Michael Anthony.
Huh. Well, taking the high road's a good way.
Yeah. And
I'm assuming I know your answer, but You're
Yeah.
going with Satriani on
definitely.
that one, aren't you? Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But they're both accomplished. I'm not going to take anything away from Eddie Van Halen. As a matter of fact, Eddie Van Halen was not the forerunner to shredding, but he popularized it.
Right.
If you've ever heard, what was that song, Eruption, off the second Van Halen album, great piece of guitar work.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go over to Victims of the Future by Gary Moore, you'll hear something even better.
Yeah. I'm probably not allowed to say this as a guitarist, but Eddie Van Halen does absolutely nothing for me.
Yeah.
It's just, I'd rather listen to David Gilmour any day of the week. That's
Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore. It's a great movie.
Never-
Adam Sandler, Bob Barker.
Never mind. Bob Barker.
Yeah, he's in that movie.
He plays a guitar?
No. He
Oh.
plays golf in the movie.
Oh, okay. That's much better.
Adam Sandler plays guitar, though.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But no, it's just not my thing. I like simple melodies that are catchy, and I find that to be soothing. And Eddie Van Halen did anything but simple melodies, but he's a very incredible guitarist.
Yeah. Once in a while, he would write something. For example, the song "Jump" was obviously made for radio,
Oh gosh,
but that was
is there even guitar in that song?
Yeah. Yeah. Another interesting fact, too, Michael Jackson's album in 1983,
Yeah.
they wanted to get on album-oriented rock stations. He hired Eddie Van Halen to play on Beat It. That guitar you hear in the background is Eddie Van Halen.
I believe Eddie is also on the Thriller album. I believe he is on a bunch of. I always Beat It on Thriller.
I think so.
All right, we're gonna check
I'm
this
such
out.
a Michael Jackson fan that I wouldn't even know.
We're gonna Google this.
Okay.
Okay, Google. It's just like the TV commercials. Did Eddie Google? Okay, Google. Did Eddie Van Halen play on Michael Jackson's Thriller album?
According to Van Halen News Desk, 31 years ago, Eddie Van Halen collaborates with Michael Jackson for Thriller. 31 years ago today, Michael Jackson's colossal album, Thriller, was released. Eddie Van Halen collaborated with Jackson on the album's third single, Beat It, and wrote and performed the guitar solo for the song.
So it's just that song.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
and I don't know if they got on album-oriented rock stations, but that was the reason they did it.
Oh, I bet it did.
And hats off to you, Eddie. You're a great guitar player. In my opinion, I could name 5 better.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Nick Jonas, Lil Wayne,
Garth Brooks,
Garth Brooks.
folks. He's making me cringe.
That guy from the Monkees.
Oh yeah, Mike Nesmith.
Yeah,
Actually, he was a pretty good musician.
was he?
Yeah, he wasn't a great guitar player. He was a good, accomplished musician. And Peter Tork,
Yeah.
the goofy guy. He was actually a very. He could play. He could play a banjo. That guy could really
Yeah?
play a banjo. Yeah.
Interesting.
The other 2 guys, Mickey Dolenz and Davy Jones.
Davy Jones, that's his name.
They weren't much. But
They were just the faces to look
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. So, if anybody wants to know who I think is better than Eddie Van Halen on guitar, that's still alive. Well, even those that aren't alive, I would say Gary Moore definitely. I would say Joe Satriani without even a doubt. I would say Steve Vai. I might even say Joe Bonamassa.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's good.
And I'll let you pick the last one. No, Tracy.
Prince.
Not Prince.
Prince actually was a really good guitar player.
He was, but he wasn't in this league. I don't know if you could say Stevie Ray Vaughan or even oh gosh.
Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
He was really good. In that league,
Yeah.
I would go with. Can I use Frank Zappa?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, that's who I would. That's who I would put in that category. Prince, though, was a very incredible guitarist.
There's another one out there too, and I don't know his full. It's Mark Anthony DeMiola or something. Or D'Angelo, Mark Anthony D'Angelo. I've got his CD. The guy is unbelievable. I mean, he has a guitar that has necks that come this way, and he plays them both. Yeah, guy's pretty nuts. But sometime we I don't know, did we did a thing on a show on shredders once, didn't we?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad that some of these really, really incredible guitar players have passed away. Like I said, Gary Moore has passed away, and so has Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I hear Clapton is not playing much anymore either. I hear he's not doing well.
You know, he battled heroin addiction and he got clean. Of course, he's way up in his 70s.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the reason is. I want to say that it might be. I want to say Alzheimer's, however you say that, old timers.
Yeah, Alzheimer's.
But it also might be Parkinson's. I think what's happening to Clapton is he's having the beginning onset of some disease. He's being really quiet about it, but he just released an album last year, and most people are saying that's his last one, which is kind of sad. But he still isn't really in that caliber of guitarist. Clapton's a very good guitarist, but very different.
If you were to see Clapton in his heyday in the late 60s with Cream or Blind Faith, to me that was his best stuff.
Yeah.
Everything he did after that was because Clapton didn't really he didn't really like the stuff he did with Cream. It was extremely progressive. That was more Jack Bruce's and Ginger Baker's things.
Yeah.
Because the reality of the band Cream was that you had a couple of jazz musicians.
Yeah.
And then you had a blues guitar player.
Yep.
Who actually wanted to play 3-minute hit songs. That was Clapton.
Yeah.
And what's even funnier was you had a speed freak, you had a heroin addict, and you had an alcoholic. And that was not a good mix.
No, this isn't a very good mix.
Not a good mix at all. During their reunion, they did a reunion concert, which I have a copy of in 2005, and actually was really good. I mean, no matter how old they are, it was.
They're probably all sober by then, weren't they?
Oh yeah, they realized the jiggles. I believe Jack Bruce just died a little while ago.
Yeah.
Ginger Baker's still around.
He is.
Boy, is he.
Clapton's still around.
Ginger Baker, he looked like he was 100 back in the 60s.
Isn't that fun? Speaking of that,
yes,
I was watching old stuff. Now. You remember the WWF?
Yes.
When I was a kid, Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody posted a video online of Hulk Hogan fighting Andre the Giant.
Yes.
I was watching it, and I'm looking at him, and somebody said Hulk Hogan was 33 in this match.
Yeah.
And he looks about 30 years older than I do right now, and I'm older than 33.
Yep.
Did Hulk Hogan ever look like a young man?
No. He just looks like an older version of what he was. I have to admit, he hasn't changed much over the years.
No, he doesn't.
He still looks
about the same.
About the same. I mean, he does look a little older and a little more wrinkled, like most all of us do, when we get up into our 60s.
But I noticed that a lot of times. Like, you look back at old footage of the Celtics, and there's Larry Bird. And Larry Bird was in his late 20s, and it looked like he's in his 40s. Mm-hmm. Was that how bad the resolution of TV screens were, or did people just look older back then?
I don't know what it was. I know that I've seen older videos of, say, people like Burt Reynolds. Yeah, they look a whole lot younger than they do now. They look pretty bad now.
That's true.
Pretty bad now. Ozzy, if you saw Black Sabbath back in 1970 and you saw them now, and you'd say, "Oh, these guys have really aged, not quite well."
Yeah, that's true.
Not very well at all.
But Hulk Hogan was always a 60-year-old guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just thought it was funny because I was like, "Man, Larry Bird was in his 20s there. He looks so much older than that."
Yeah.
What happened? Yep. I don't know. Must have been the style back then.
Probably
the perm and the mustache just didn't do it.
No,
that was a thing. My dad had that.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah, I got pictures of it, don't I, Charlie?
You're being talked about on television. By the way, I got to tell you, I don't know how it stood. It's been a long time since we've done sound check, and those beams are still perfect.
They're very clear. They dust them once a month. Faith and her husband come in and dust them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're very, very meticulously maintained by our engineer,
That's
Tracy
right.
Ashman.
They are structurally sound. The ceiling hasn't crashed yet.
No, that'll come next. We're going to play a Motorhead video at the end of this.
Oh, sweet.
Now, if they
Ace of Spades, or are you doing
Yeah.
something a little? Yeah.
yeah, Ace of Spades, since that's the most popular
That's
one.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
And if YouTube bans it, we'll have to play the version without it. So I'm going to make one with it, and if it gets banned, I'll have to do one without it. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't see this video, it's because we ran into trouble with YouTube.
Right to your congressman.
Yeah, I would.
You'll be seeing a Todd Pronto video because we have the rights to that.
Yes, and the opening and closing music is mine, so we have the rights to that. Unless I decide not to.
Unless you come after yourself.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Was that right?
Well, I have people that look for me. It's a company that I hire to look to make sure nobody's pirating my music. Mm-hmm. And the last time I posted a video, I got a letter from myself saying cease and desist if I don't get permission from the artist. So I had to give myself permission. I said, boy, you guys are effective.
That's almost as much fun as Mitch McConnell, Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. Mm-hmm. He proposes a bill. President Obama said, yep, let's do it. He filibustered his own bill. No joke, guys.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. But anyways.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's as good as you not, oh no, they can't play my music. Oh, it's me. Okay.
Make sure I get my royalties from that.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard the Mitch McConnell story.
That is the truth. God's honest truth.
It doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't either. He looks like a turtle, too.
He does. Isn't that what Jon Stewart used to call him, Mitch McTurtle?
I think so.
I think so.
Speaking
of guys that look older than they are, he's only 28. No, just kidding. How old is Mitch McConnell?
I don't know. He's got to be in his 60s.
Yeah. It's time to retire.
Or 70s or,
It's time to retire, Mitch.
Yeah, that is a fact. So, any more anecdotes or anything else from Motorhead or anything like that?
Well, I just ran out of coffee, so that's pretty bad news.
Yeah. But if we don't talk for a little bit longer, we're going to underrun by 10 minutes.
Oh, we don't want to do that. I'm pretty sure we can keep it going.
Yeah. Well, we've covered the engineering thing. We've covered Motorhead.
We've talked about the Olympics even.
Yeah. I would like to put out a shout out to a band that we both enjoy tremendously, and I don't understand their thinking and that's the band 9 Inch Nails. They put out a couple of videos of concerts, but they haven't released them. You can watch them on YouTube, but you can't actually buy them, and I would definitely buy them.
I wonder why that is.
If they were on Blu-ray especially, because I like that. I like the sound, and I like how crisp it looks, but it always gets YouTube video.
That's interesting. I wonder if it's probably the younger generation is so steered towards streaming and not physically owning anything, that they probably feel like their best interest is to produce really high quality videos online so people can watch them. But I don't know if I agree with that, because I'm kind of like you, and I like to physically own something as well. I mean, I do stream stuff.
But I mean, YouTube is nice and all that, but I don't think you can get 5.1 sound out of it. I don't believe
they claim you can, but
I don't believe you can really get true high def out of it.
I always get so mad when I have a video that looks great and then I upload it to YouTube and I'm like, what happened to it?
Yeah.
they squish it somehow.
Yeah, when I watch this, you have the option of 480, 720, or 1080.
1080p,
it doesn't matter which one you click; they all look the same. So, we've just been warned by our engineer. She just came out and
the ceiling's going to fall apart.
She told us that she held a gun to us.
Yeah.
She said,
This station's been getting called. They want us off the air, but we're pre-taping them. That don't matter. They're so solid. You should do
the department.
Maybe.
Special thanks to our head engineer, Tracy Ashman. Great job to keep us on task and keep us doing the show and on a
Yeah,
regular
because
basis.
we'd forget. I forgot about it, Terry. Well, I don't know if you forgot about it.
I didn't forget, but it was it was rolling around in the back of my head somewhere.
We were only, 3 hours late? We were
Yeah.
supposed to tape it at like 10.
Yeah.
It's 7 o'clock at night right now. we need to be task managed.
Exactly.
Task managed?
And that's what we have Tracy for, because she's the brains of the outfit. So,
Yes.
So I want to thank everybody for watching. This is Terry Difazio with the incredible, don't forget the incredible Todd Pronto, saying this is Soundcheck. Catch you on the flip side, guys. Have a good day.
If you like to gamble, I tell you I'm your man. You win some, lose some, it's all the same to me. The pleasure is to play, ain't no difference what you say. I don't say agree, the only card I need is the ace of spades, the ace of spades. Playing for the high one, dancing with the devil, going with the flow, it's all a game to me. Seven or 11, snake eyes watching you. Double up or quit, double stake or split, the ace of spades, the ace of spades. You know I'm going to lose, and gambling's for fools, but that's the way I like it, baby. I don't want to live forever. And don't forget the joker. Pushing up the ante, I know you got to see me. Read 'em and weep, the dead man's hand again. I see it in your eyes, take one look and die. The only thing you see, you know it's gonna be